Yo, what's good, everybody? It's Los here. We back on the throne of positivity where the first is last and the last is first. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and also the notification bell so you don't miss out on any upcoming videos. I know it's been a minute since January I last uploaded my video. I apologize, guys. We've been doing full-time ministry on social media, and wow, how this has been blowing up. It has blown up. We've been on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Since February, we've gained 50,000 followers on TikTok. We started at 300. Like, I can't believe that God has blown this up. But he knows my heart. He knows how I'm trying to do this for him and him alone. He knows I don't like being on social media. If it was my choice, I would put that to the side, deactivate everything, and live my life as a hermit crab in my own little corner. But that's not the purpose that God has for me. The purpose God has for me is to draw you into the intimacy of God's presence. So if you want to be a part of this community and grow the community with us, hit that like button, comment down below, put a flag where you're from, because we've been reaching people everywhere. Everywhere. I'm telling you, all over the globe. We've been live Monday through Saturday, 2 p.m. Pacific time, Instagram and TikTok. And wow, reaching places like Australia. We've reached Turkey, Greece, Paris, London, Netherlands, all over Europe, Africa, South Africa, Cape Town, Kenya, Nigeria, everywhere we've been reaching, all over the United States. So go ahead and comment your thoughts about this testimony so I don't ramble anymore. And support the community, support the ministry. This is not about me, guys. The purpose of Throne of Positivity, yes, I'm the face, I'm the voice behind this, I'm the spearhead of this thing, but the purpose of this is to create a community where we are uplifting each other's burdens and creating a community that we loving on each other. We're helping each other and we're advancing the kingdom of God, because that's the most important thing, y'all, is advancing that kingdom. So I figured out where I want to start. I'm going to just literally start with how I came to Christ. But before I get there, I want to tell you who I was before I got to Christ. I came to Christ in 2014 through a breakup and depression after being in a sinful relationship. Before I explain that, that's the starting point. I want to tell you where I was in my life prior to that. I was about 20, 21 years old during that time. So before I got to that point, I lived a life of drugs, of hanging with the wrong crowds, being in the streets, you know, doing a whole bunch of sinful stuff, clubbing, fighting was my favorite thing. You know, I hated myself. I enjoyed pain because it made me feel alive. It was the only thing that made me feel alive. I would do things intentionally to hurt my feelings, to hurt myself, because that tenderness in my heart is what helped me feel like I was actually alive. But God saved me from all of that. And that's where I come from, guys. It's just that little brief thing. If you want to know more where I come from, we'll probably make a part two. But my purpose is how I came to Christ. So in 2013, 2014, I was in a sinful relationship with a woman. I was supposedly madly in love. I won't deny that I had deep feelings for this woman, but we were in a relationship for like a year or something. And in this relationship, three times, not even being a man of God, I don't have no Christian background like that, guys. I didn't grow up Christian. I had, a grandmother that she would tell me about the Bible and God and all of that, but no real influence. Three times in this relationship, I swear to you, I told this to the girl that I was with. I feel like God is talking to me. Three times in this relationship, I told her, I feel like God is talking to me. I don't know how I could explain this, but this is the exact thing that I felt like God was telling me at the time. If you do not come to serve me right now, I am going to take everything away from you, including that woman that you are with. And I told her that three times over the course of months. And she kind of brushed it off. We tried to go to church for a little bit. It didn't work. It didn't last. I was the man, so I was the leader. So I take full responsibility of that. And wow, did that actually come true. August of 2014 or July 2014, I ended the relationship. We were fighting all the time. It was nothing but arguments. It was nothing but just pain and turmoil and destruction in that relationship. And it was brutal. It was brutal. So we ended the relationship not because of that, but because I was just over it. I was over it. I ended the relationship and I wanted to do my own thing. Like I wanted to be single and I wanted to go back to sinning in that way. When I ended the relationship for like 5 days, that's what I was doing whatever I wanted. And then I tried to go back to her and she was not having it. She didn't want nothing to do with me. And when she didn't want nothing to do with me, I remembered the prophecy. Boom. Before that time, after that, I lost her. I lost my job. We lost our apartment. I got kicked. Withdrew from school without doing the proper protocol. A whole bunch of stuff just started tumbling down in my life, and it was just like, wow, this is real. God really was talking to me. I never ran so fast to something in my life. I went to the church that we tried to go to months before, and wow, that started to change my life. I went into the presence of God, and I'm not even joking, guys, for like 6 months. I was in such deep depression. I don't remember what color was looking like. I didn't see color. I saw black and white. I didn't taste food for 6 months straight. I felt every second of the day. That's how excruciatingly painful this was in my life. I felt every second of the day. Like, oh my God, it was so painful. But God was so faithful. It's so beautiful. Like, it was amazing how ironic it is that there is beauty in our brokenness. And God really did use my brokenness to draw me closer to him, because I would spend literally all day praying to God, reading the Bible. I will read the Bible from the beginning to the end nonstop. I read every single page of that Bible, and I needed to fill myself because it was filling a void in me that nothing else could fill. I went through depression multiple times in my life. And the other times I used drugs, I used clubbing, I used a whole bunch of other things to fill the void. And those things were temporary. Drinking was cool until I had to sleep on the couch at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And I was left alone and I had to wallow and drown in my own emotions and pain. So I knew this time in depression, I wasn't going back to that. I wasn't going back to drugs and women and all of that. I wasn't going to do it. What I was going to do is I was going to find God because he spoke to me. And I knew he spoke to me. Nobody was going to deny that. And I had so many spiritual, supernatural experiences with God. I'm going to tell you one thing that happened with me. I'll never forget. I was in the apartment alone. My mom, she moved out. She went somewhere else and we had a month left on the lease. So I stood in this apartment by myself. And I would literally spend all the time praying, fasting, and just crying out to God. I would do nothing else but do that. And one night, I'll never forget. One night I'm praying. I was in my room. I had a window that was like literally the size of my wall. And my bed was against the window. So I would kneel down at my bed and I would just be praying and crying out, God, deliver me. Please help me in this depression. I swear I'm going to serve you. I want to serve you. Help me serve. Help me get out of here. Well, what happened? Whether you believe me or not, it's up to you. It's up to you to figure that out. But this is what happened. A presence, a light came into my room. I was lifted off. I was at my knees. I was lifted off the ground, whether spiritually or physically. I can't even tell you. I don't remember. I was lifted off the ground and I was standing up. This presence and this light came into the room and it stood over to the left. And when it came, it knocked me off my feet after lifting me off the ground. And when I hit the ground, I'm like this on the ground with my face to the floor and I'm crying, weeping, and laughing so hard like I never have before that my veins, my neck, I felt like it was gonna burst. I was laughing and crying so hard I had no more oxygen. I had no more. I was crying because of the fear that I had of this presence, and I was laughing because of the joy that I felt from this presence. And I cried and wept to the point that I had no more oxygen. I'm not even exaggerating. If that presence didn't leave the room in the very second that it did, I would not be here today because I had no more oxygen. I had no more tears to cry. I had no more laughs to give. I had nothing else. If it didn't leave, I would have died. I'm not even joking. And when it left, you know when you break the surface of water, when you have no more breath left and you're like, that's how I was. And I'm just like, wow, wow. That was God. God visited me. And from that day, I was just like, I'm going to give my life to God. And I did. I sought God. I repented from everything that I did. But here's the issue. I don't know. I believe that I was sincere in finding God, but I was misguided by my heart because the woman that I was pursuing, I was seeking God for what he could do for me, not for who he was. And I thought this was the woman that I was supposed to be with. I thought she was the woman that I was going to marry. And I sought God for that. And I knew something in me was like, yo, this is of the flesh. But I was so desperate to be with this woman, I was willing to do anything necessary. So I kept seeking God. And God used that situation to draw me into the intimacy of his presence. That's why you can't be mad about what God uses in your life. Because the heart is deceitful above all else, and he'll use that deceitful heart to draw you closer to him, to bring you into the truth. So for 3.5 years, I was seeking God wholeheartedly. And there was no signs, no confirmation that she was even the one. I was just blindly pursuing God for this reason, for him to bring us together. And then 3.5 years, I realized, I'm like, yo, this is never going to happen. This is never going to happen. It's never going to happen. She even told me that herself. And when she told me, I knew it was real. And I was like, God, you're a liar. I mocked God and I cursed God and I turned my back on the Lord. And before I did that, before that happened, somebody that I know, a worship leader from New York, the church that I went to, she gave me a vision that she had of me, a prophecy. She told me she saw me in the middle of the ocean drowning. And I was drowning and I was trying to break the surface of the water, but I couldn't. The only thing that was above water was my ear. And I never understood what she meant by that dream until I came back to God. So 3.5 years I served God. The woman told me that things would never happen between us. I knew it was real. And I turned my back on God. I mocked him. I cursed him. Forgive me, Lord. I know I'm forgiven because I repented from it. But I fell. I fell into sin. I turned my back on God. And for 1.5 years, I parted from the walk of God. And I'm telling you, there's nothing in this world worse than having known the presence of God, than having known God and turn your back on it. Even though I was sinning and I was satisfying my flesh every single day, I'm not even joking. I had this literal fear that I was never going to be able to return to God. Every night, I would see my whole life flash before me, living to an old age, becoming super successful in the world, marrying whatever woman that I wanted in the flesh and having children that weren't of the promise. And this life would flash before my eyes every night that I was away from God. And it was so scary. It was so scary because every night I will feel the literal flames of hell consume my entire body. And I will be so afraid of the dark. When I would look into my room, I wouldn't just see darkness. I would see a darkness you can't imagine. Like the darkness of a soul. And it was so scary to live this every single day. Every single night I will live this. And I would hear a whisper as if from across the street or across the room. Some voice was speaking. Even though I experienced all those things, some voice. And as time got closer or time passed, the voice would get louder and louder. And God started wooing me back. He started calling me back into his presence. And after the year and a half, I'll never forget, I started making changes in my life, little by little, baby steps, coming back to the presence of God, reading the word more, listening to preachings or going to church. Little by little, God will put people in my life to talk to me. And then this is where I am today. This is where I am today. And it's like, wow, it doesn't matter what you're going through or what you've been through. God can bring you out of that darkness into his light. And I just want to encourage you. I don't care what you're going through. I don't care what's binding you. In the mighty name of Jesus, you are a chosen one of God. God doesn't let go of anybody. God says that he has all of us written in the palm of his hand. The Bible says that nothing from the hand of the Lord may be stolen from him. You are a child of God. You may be going through things right now, but I want you to look at me, for example. Look at what God is doing through my life and look at what he's about to do, because this is nothing. Nothing compared to what he has shown me. What we are going to do is change the entire world with the kingdom of heaven. And you are going to see that the Lord is faithful to deliver you from whatever you're in. So I don't want to keep this video too long. If you have questions about my testimony, please put it down below. I know it's a long video. Forgive me. I'm babbling. But if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Hit the notification bell, comment down below if you got questions, tag somebody, share this video. Follow me on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, Throne of Positivity. I hope this testimony made sense and was coherent and cohesive and followed organized path. But if you have questions, if you guys want a part 2, just let me know. But I appreciate you guys. Y'all know what it is. It's Los here. We on the throne of positivity, but nobody shall dethrone us. We have.